Hello, hello, hello. It is August 3rd, 2023, and the Strat Chat podcast has the honor of having the winner of season 11 of Big Brother Canada, Mr. TY MCDONALD. Such an honor to have you here, sir. We cannot wait to get into some of this discussion with you. I know we have a lot of stuff to ask you. I'm sure we have a ton to talk about. So let's kick this off. I'm going to play a little intro video for you here now, and we'll get started with the conversation.
Sounds good.
All right. My name is John Dunphy. I'm here with my two co-hosts, as always, Mr. Kyle Petty and Miss Gina Morgino. And we have a very honored guest here tonight, TY MCDONALD. Thank you so much, Ty, for doing this. This
My
is so
pleasure.
cool.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Like, this is so cool for us for multiple reasons. Like, you were just such a great player on your season in Big Brother Canada. The comp wins, everything that you did to secure your victory as the winner of the season. But you are also, this is a big milestone for us, honestly, as a podcast, because you are the first winner. We've had a lot of cool interviews with people that we've seen that played these games that we love so much, but you are the first winner that we've actually had the opportunity to speak to.
Wow. Well, I'm honored then. Thank you guys for having me. And like I said, it's a pleasure for me to be here. I appreciate you guys reaching out, and I'm looking forward to having a good conversation and a good episode for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, hell yeah, absolutely. And especially thank you, because we know that you're, in the middle of some festivities with friends of yours and out in LA for a bachelor party and all that. So, it's so cool for you to make time for us and all that.
For sure.
And we just really want to get into this.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so let's get into this. So one thing for me, okay, because we talked to Zach a little bit during the season.
Yeah.
And I feel like during the course of the season, you and Zach were really kind of portrayed as the villains of the season, right?
Yeah.
But
rightfully so.
Gina,
you terrorized that house.
you guys were definitely running stuff. But I wanted to get a little bit more of your perspective too, because I feel like production has, they have certain things in mind that they want to do with the show that they want to portray on TV, right? And absolutely. I feel like when Zach was in there and you were working with him, like, you guys were portrayed as the villains. Zach obviously chose to walk out. And I'm just curious about, like, what your thoughts are about, like, the edit that you got, right? Because I feel like there's so much time that you spend in this house with all these people, having conversations, getting to know each other. And I wonder, like, do you feel at all that, like, production sort of made you out to be more of a villain than you really were? Because, like, you had people in there like Claudia and Daniel C that you were close to. And I feel like maybe as an audience, we were maybe sold short a little bit on some of those, like, really nice moments that you guys had, because you were, by the network, maybe wanted to be portrayed as the villain, in the house, because they needed a villain in there.
Of course. I think that, production has a job to do. And, like, this is, I'll start the whole interview off with this. I have nothing against production. They have a job to do. And that's to make a good story and entertaining show. And, like, there's no story without a villain, right? So you can't, if I was the hero and everyone loved me, it wouldn't be as exciting to see me winning all the time. Like, man, who cares if the most lovable player is winning all the time? They want to see the villain being targeted the whole season, everyone trying to get him up, because that builds the story, right? But to be fair to production, me and Zach also made it very easy to make us villains, right? I'm a very direct guy when I talk. You know what I mean? I'm very straightforward, and sometimes it can come off as me being an asshole, and I understand that. You know what I mean? That's not just me in the game, that's me in real life as well. But those who really know me know that when I'm being direct with you, it's because I care about you. It's because I want to see, I'm trying to be real with you the way I would want you to be real with me. So when you see me talking very, monotone or very direct with somebody, it's not because I'm trying to be an asshole or I don't care or I'm trying to be rude. It's just because I'm just trying to get to the truth and figure out what the fuck's going on. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
Whatever you want.
This is a person house. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So that's just me. And like I said, like I'm not mad at production. Like I said, they have a job to do. I respect that they did a job, and honestly, it worked out for me, because whether people love me or hate me, they're still talking about me, and you're giving me the shine that I care about. So when I post a picture on Instagram or something, and there's people in my in my comment section going crazy saying Ty's the worst player, Ty's this, Ty's that. I'm like, guys, my engagement's going crazy right now, so thank you. Keep talking. Thank you very much. So that's how I look at it.
I love that answer, and like that's the reason I wanted to start off with that question, because I feel like that's like the hardest question I had, because I was like, I'm like asking you how you feel about being portrayed as a villain, but like honestly, we all loved watching you. Like you were so, like because every season needs a villain, right? Like
of course.
And you were such a great one, especially because of like your season being the way that you performed was record breaking, like with the confidence that you had and stuff. So like I wanted to get the villain question out of the way first, because now we can just like have fun with everything you did on the season. But I'm sure Kyle and Gino want to talk to you and ask you something too.
Of course, yeah. Well, like I said, just my bad, man. I just want to say, like, I think Zach is on the same page. I think the only difference between me and Zach, I don't think either of us had a problem being portrayed as the villain. I can't speak for Zach, but this is just my perspective. I don't think either of us cared if we were portrayed as the villain, but unfortunately, he was not given the opportunity for people to see the other side of him, whereas I had enough time in the house for people to see the other side of me. Eventually, it gets down to a point where there's only so many people in the house that you have to show the truth or more of the truth. Whereas when there's 15, 16 people in the house, you can really be selective with what you're showing about me and Zach. But when we're in the final five now, if you're trying to see what Ty's up to, you have to show everything that's going on. So I had the opportunity for people to see that other side of me, and I think that's why I had a bit of a hero's arc at the end. Not to say everyone loved me by the end, but I think more people came around to, okay, maybe Ty's not as bad of a guy as production was painting him out to be, right? So I think that was like where me and Zach, our stories kind of, I guess, diverted from each other, and I had a bit of an opportunity to kind of make up for the lack of kindness that was shown throughout the show.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, because like I said, like you were definitely portrayed as the villain. I thought of you as that way for a long time in the season, but by the end of it, once we got down to the last 6, 5, 4, 3 people, I was like the only person in there that actually deserves to win is Ty.
No, I appreciate that for sure.
I mean, that is certainly the point that it got to, but we have to at least shine some light on the fact that Zach does have some ownership in this situation. He wasn't given the chance to show another side of himself, because he did walk. So like I definitely want to get into that end of things. And this is not really like slamming him or anything. It's just like that's just facts, right? We're being
of course.
You know,
I'm all about factual stuff, so we can talk about it.
Let's do it. We love facts. We love facts. But like so that moment where now everything really came to a head, and there's obviously a lot of things to get into around, you know, the real catalyst for the exit, right? Certainly. But obviously you made the decision. You said, listen, are we sure we want to do this? This is still a game. What are we doing? And I guess for me, I would like, was that the first time you started to question this decision or this thought process? Who was really steering that ship? So because it's appeared to us that Zach was beating the drum a little harder, saying like, no, if this doesn't happen, we're walking. And it very much felt like you were just like, okay, yeah, we're walking.
No, of course not. See, my predicament, the situation I was in was like, Zach was my guy. Like, I don't care what was going on in the house. At that point, I was like, yo, doesn't matter who else I have a relationship with, even Claudia, if Zach was to have stayed in the house, and even if me and Claudia were in a showmatch by the end of it, I would have cut Claudia and would have took Zach to the final 2. Like, that was my guy. I gave him my loyalty from the start.
Damn. So sorry, Claude.
It is what it is. You know what I mean? It's all love, but I mean, and that's another thing we can get into. She's a crazy competitor. She held her own. She did what she had to do, and she got as far as she did because of what she did, right? So, but back to me and Zach is like, our situation was, I was so loyal to him that because of the situation we ended up in with the whole letter game, which people also are getting a very doctored perspective of, I was like, man, do I really want to be part of this competition? I'm a competitor, but I'm like, do I want to be a part of this competition when I know that there is cheating going on? That's what it comes down to. And I don't feel like the situation was handled the way I was expecting it to be handled. Again, not knocking production. They have to run a show. They have their own procedures and protocols to handle these situations. But on the flip side, I don't think that they've ever had that situation where someone smuggled something into the house, right? So me and Zach are looking at that as like, yo, that's the ultimate rule break. This guy is about to be out of here. So when they're just like, oh, a little slap on the wrist and like Zach is still up for eviction, we're like, yo, come on, guys. Like something more has to be done to keep Zach safe, because what they don't understand is me and Zach threw the competition to Hope, like to protect him. And like there's so many like little things along the way. But long story short, it was like I said, a predicament where I was like my loyalty to Zach or my pride and letting these guys feel like they got me out of the game. That was the deciding factor. Like the huge thing was like, man, I don't want to make these guys feel like they ran me out of the game. You guys didn't get me out of the game. It was more so if I was to have walked, it was because I felt like I was cheated out of the game. So I'm like, honestly, bro, like I need to go back in there and take at least one person out with me. Someone's going home before I'm going home. I'm not going home before you. You guys are not about to walk me out of here. So that was what kept me going. Luckily, I stayed because I ran everybody out the house after that point. You know what I mean? So
you sure did.
Day, like, me winning the show was a win for me and Zach, and that's why I viewed it. Even to the end, I was throwing up the shot callers because that was my alliance. That was me and Zach. That was my final team. So like you see me going there like evicting Chanel with a smile on my face. Bye, Chanel. Like all these things are like back to my relationship with Zach, and I felt like he was done dirty. I felt like I was done dirty with my edit. Again, I'm not mad about the edit, but I am kind of still upset with how Zach was taken out of the game because I don't feel like it was right. But again, like, you know, whatever happened, and it led to the result that we had, and that was me winning. So the shot callers came out on top. So that's what matters.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious. So, because in that moment, right, Zach also, with all the Lettergate stuff that was going on, Zach was on the block, right?
Yeah.
When he left. Do you think that you would have felt any differently if you had been on the block during that situation?
Oh,
like,
man, I would have felt the same way as him. I would have been livid because of
like,
how.
Do you think that you would have left like he did?
That I don't know. It's hard for me to say because I feel like that's one of those things. Like, unless you're in that position, you don't know how you're going to react. But I know that I would be livid knowing how I ended up on the block, because I was pissed off knowing how Zach ended up on the block and I wasn't on the block. So I can only imagine how he felt ending up on the block because of how we got there. And that was because we both threw a competition because we saw somebody cheating who we thought we were looking out for. We didn't want Hope to get disqualified from the game. So we're like, yo, he's doing way too much right now to try to get a win. Let's just throw him the win so he can leave the game with a win, because he didn't have any wins up to that point. We're like, yo, this is our boy. We want him to like feel good. Like, and even after the competition, that's the Brita competition, which again, you guys don't see it, but I was light years ahead of everybody. And I look to my side and I see Hope way behind. He's falling behind. So I start pouring my glass a little slower so he can catch up. Zach, you can even see on the show, like he's there washing his, because I told Zach to throw the comp. So he's going into the wire, washing his face. Like he doesn't care to win, because I told him, just throw the comp, let Hope have a win. He's throwing himself on the block trying to get a win. So let's look out for this kid. He's obviously openly cheating now, passing this note around to people. I'm like, bro, this guy's going to get himself kicked out of the game. So we threw the comp to him, and then he decides to do what he did. And knowing Zach was going up on the block, and that's the only reason why Zach ended up on the block, is because he took, to our knowledge, he took advantage of us using a cheat. The only reason why we were able to make that decision to like throw the comp to him and believe that he actually wanted to go home was because he showed us that he was openly cheating. So, yeah.
And I do sort of remember footage of Hope saying that like he wanted to be there and wanted to win a competition, and then if he left after that, he would be fine. So like, is that sort of why? Because I know there was some pressure after Hope won that competition in the POV, being like, I won this, I want to use it on myself, and you and Zach were kind of encouraging him not to use the power of veto.
Yeah.
Like, did you feel like you felt comfortable talking to Hope about leaving the game after he won that competition? Because it made it seem like Hope multiple times kind of made it seem like he was just happy to be there, wanted to win a couple of things, and then he'd be happy to go home.
Yeah. Well, like I watched the show back afterwards, and he's obviously going into the DR saying, yeah, I'm trying to convince people that I don't want to be here. So they just kind of pull me along. Cool. But if you also watch the show, you see there's actually two conversations. There's one conversation with me, Zach, and Hope in the room together. And he looks at me, he says, Ty, I need you to line me up. And I say to him, not this week. Him saying line me up is saying, okay, set me up so I can go home. That was what the term line me up, because we had a conversation before. And he's like, yeah, like, you know, I don't know if I want to be here, blah, blah, blah. But him telling me that is not enough for me to hand the power that me and Zach had over that house to him. Because, like, everybody was saying he wanted to go home. Vanessa wanted to go home. My mom wanted to go home. Johnny hated Hope, which people don't know at one point, hated Hope. He's like, yo, either Hope goes or I'm self-evicting. So Hope telling me that he wants to self-evict wasn't enough for me to hand the power over to him. What changed my mind, which was a clip afterwards, was him handing me the letter showing me that he's cheating. Now I'm like, yo, this guy's actually serious. Like, he's willing to break the rules. I'm like, bro, I don't want to see this kid just get disqualified with nothing and like seem like, he came here and treated the game like it was a joke. So I'm like, yo, Zach, let's just throw this guy a win because he clearly just wants to win to go home because he's showing us that he's cheating. It's on camera. There's cameras everywhere. So once we gave him the win and then he decided to use it against us, that's when we had the problem. So the way people make it seem was as if that we were trying to use the letter situation against the rest of the house when that wasn't the case. We were simply trying to give Hope a win. The plan was to keep himself on the block with a win with $5,000, and then he gets evicted. It was him and Santina sitting together. We knew the girls were working together, so we're like, even though they don't like Santina, there's no way they're keeping Hope over Santina. If they see a big physical guy, they're gonna send him home. So we're like, cool. Hope, keep yourself on the block. You have your win. You have your $5,000. Go home, be with your family. But of course, that's not what happened. He pulled himself off, knowing Zach was gonna go up. So that was where our problem is, and that's where we kind of, had our disagreement, and that's why me and Zach felt like, yo, this guy cheated to get Zach out, and that's where the real issue lies.
Okay.
I have two questions on this.
Of course.
I guess the first being, so I heard you when you said something before, and you said that Hope had smuggled this note in, and I would definitely like some more context like around that, because certainly it was our understanding that this note came in with like a shipment of clothing and luggage and things that came in a few days after move-in. So, so the note is there. But is it really Hope's fault? Yes. He should have reported it because it was a breaking of the rules. But like, who's really responsible for this error? It's really, production.
Of course. I'm not gonna say it's production. I'm not trying to get myself in trouble. What I will say though is that listen, I'm actually happy you brought this up and the timing of our interview, because listen, I'm gonna say this: if Hope's watching, if Hope ends up watching this, Hope, I love you, bro. It's all love. The game's over. But go watch his interview with Spicy V. We told everybody that we knew, me and Zach, like we knew he had the intent of using that. He literally admitted on Spicy V's interview that he knew his girlfriend was going to sneak something in for him. He literally admitted it. So go watch the interview. In his words, not me now. You can see it for yourself. So I watched the interview and I'm like, damn, so you knew that she was going to try to sneak something in for you. When in reality, he was telling everybody like, yeah, no, I didn't know. I had no idea. But you did.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not saying, listen, like I said, it's all love. Like, I have no issues against anybody. I'm not trying to, it is what it is. Whatever happened, happened. I just hate the fact that Zach was caught in the crossfire of a situation I don't think anybody should have been put in. Like, even myself, I hate that I was put in that situation, but at least I was able to, like, fight back from it. Zach didn't have the opportunity.
Yeah.
And then Zach was painted as like the biggest piece of shit in the world, which is unfair in my eyes. You know what I mean? So, and nobody's coming to our defense. Nobody's coming to Ty and Zach's defense. It's always us having to speak up for ourselves.
Right.
But everybody now sees what the reality of it is, and no one's saying like, Zach and Ty really got done dirty.
Right.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
Right. I mean, we had a good conversation with Zach. I keep saying Ty because we're talking to you, but we had a very good conversation with Zach. Also, I will say, and I wasn't a huge fan of Zach during the season, but like after we spoke to him and we interacted with him on social media, I had a completely different opinion of him. And I really like Zach now, and I'm thrilled to be talking to you. You know what I mean? So
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah.
And I will say that like your point on Hope wanting to use the letter, and because like Kyle said, like our impression, the way it was presented to us was that this was kind of like snuck in and that Hope didn't know about it. But I will also say that like it does, as we talk about this and I think about your season, like I do remember very clearly Hope really trying to use emotions to get people on his side, right? He was very emotional at times, talking about how he wanted to go home, wasn't sure if he wanted to be there. He was sharing this note from his girlfriend that got into the house somehow. So I do see how Hope, and we did like the Crown Alliance, during the season, but I can see where maybe we lost some of the context in production, and that Hope was maybe being more manipulative than we realized. I can see that.
Yeah, and to me, it's like manipulating emotions is part of the game. If Hope was able to convince me and Zach to throw the competition to him without the use of the letter, that's one thing. But as you can see in the show, like I said, there's 2 conversations and it's shown. So it's not even like I'm just making this stuff up. There's a first conversation with me, him, and Zach where he says, Ty, line me up. I say not this week, but next week, because if I would have said next week and done it next week, I would have had enough time to plan, okay, who are we going to be putting up on the block, blah, who do I got to talk to, X, Y, and Z, to set it up so that me and Zach were still protected. But it wasn't until he handed me the letter, I'm like, yo, this guy's openly cheating. And what I did was I actually took the letter, and they don't show you this, of course. I took the letter, I walked out of the room into the little nook that we have, and I opened up the letter so that production knows that I was not lying. I had the letter in my hand.
Yeah.
I folded it back up, walked back into the room, handed it back to him. I said, okay, now the production cannot deny that you're cheating because you just showed me that you're cheating. Yeah. And I opened it in front of the fucking camera. So it wasn't until that point where my mind switched and I said, okay, now I don't want my boy to go out sad like this with no wins. Like, you're just leaving the game cheating and getting disqualified. So I'm like, bro, just throw the comp to this guy because he's doing too much at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is actually my biggest issue with this entire thing is that everyone has said that there was a deal made centered around this letter. And I don't understand that if this letter got in and that we had enough time to converse enough to even formulate a deal or a plan around it, that now like production just ignored that. Like, I don't understand how that even happened. And it wasn't an issue until it was now brought up, and now the fault is on the people who mentioned it. Like,
right, like even though, you know,
so strange.
Because even though there's no live feeds for us, we weren't able to watch things happening in real time. Like, the cameras are still on all the time and being monitored all the time. So to see all of these groups of people conversing back and forth about the letter, the note, what do you think? What do you think? It's like, how did it take somebody going to the DR and being like, hey, this note exists, for anybody to clock it?
Yeah, and the fact
the crazy.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ty.
Go
ahead.
I don't want to cut you off, John. But
go ahead.
The craziest part is, like, they didn't call anybody into the DR body. I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking. This is like me pushing the edges a bit. Sure. They didn't call Zach into the DR body until we said, "Yo, we have to report this." Like, until Zach was already nominated, we're like, "Yo, if this doesn't get fixed, like if Hope decides to like pull himself off the block and sacrifice Zach, we have to report this." And then come to find out later, production already knew about it. We're like, so you guys are letting this guy openly cheat, and we're just getting we're actually trying to be good to this kid. We're like, yo, we don't want this kid to get disqualified with nothing and be like the black mark of our season. So let's just give him a win so he can go home, self-evict with a win. And there was $5,000. I'm like, bro, like, this is perfect, man. We can just look out for our boy, and then everybody's safe. Everybody who actually wants to be in the game is still safe. You know what I mean? Right. But then he used it against us, and then we are still painted as the bad guys for trying to look out for this kid because everyone's like, oh, why didn't you just tell him earlier? Because we didn't want to be a rat on him and make him look like the black mark on our season. Right. We're actually trying to be good people.
That actually, honestly, makes sense. That makes sense to me. And I haven't thought about this until now, but like, it's funny because in this situation, right, like Hope was looked on favorably. You and Zach were looked on not favorably. But what's funny about this is that you two were like the first people in the cast to actually even know about this note, which means that Hope trusted you more than anyone else in the house to actually share this with you. So like, you were probably closer to him than anyone else, and yet Hope came out as a hero where you and Zach came out as villains, which is weird because it's you were the only people to Hope that were trustworthy enough to even be shared with this thing. That's it. I honestly, until this moment, I haven't even thought about that.
and that's not the only thing that I think is backwards about the show. It's like, okay, let me ask you guys' perspective on this. When do you think I had a bit of a hero's arc towards the end? All right, can we agree on that?
Oh,
or
absolutely.
People start to like me a little bit more at the end.
By the end,
I was a hero or not. People start to,
by the end, you were the only person I was rooting for.
When would you say that started to happen? When would you say that switch happened, though?
Once you started with the comp wins.
I went from being like,
it was the comp wins.
But like, is there a specific week?
From what I was told, I think maybe
it was when I sent Chanel home.
I think it was right after the chain of safety for me.
Okay. So from my perspective, a lot of people are telling me it was the double eviction when I sent Chanel home. They're like, okay, yo, this guy's like playing the game. To me, it was crazy that the entire time leading up to that point, I was trying to be as honest, as true, as like real with people as possible. And people took that as me being an asshole. But as soon as I lied straight to Claudia's face and used that to get Chanel out of the game, people were like, yo, I like this guy. So as soon as I start lying and being a piece of shit, people like me. But the whole time I'm trying to be a real guy, nice guy, look out for Hope, trying to be be good to the people around me. People are like, oh no, he's an asshole. Like, he needs to go. It's just, to me, the whole game's backwards. So you guys like the sneaky guy. You guys like the liar. You guys like the real asshole. Because it broke my heart to lie to Claudia, knowing I was gonna make her send her best friend home. It broke my heart. I needed Shania gone, but it broke my heart what it had to do to get that done.
No, I guess you're right about that. But
they don't even show you guys.
Yeah, we do like when a showman's turns on each other, though. We like when somebody makes a decision. We like when somebody makes a decision that is best for their game, but fucking over their showmans. Yeah, we do like that. We do that. That's why we're gathered.
Right here for the drama.
I do want to ask too, since we are talking about the showmans. I'm sure you saw that there was a fair bit of backlash on the social media of it all. In regards to the interactions that you guys had and the way that things kind of played out, what kind of perspective do you have on all of that?
Well, what I can say is that a lot of our interactions are, again, doctored.
Sure.
Production will make it seem ways that they're not. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Like, I know that I can be very cold sometimes, and that's something I'm working on in real life. Like, I can have this very nonchalant attitude when I'm talking to somebody, and very matter of fact, I would say, is the best way to describe it. And it's not just with women, though. It's with guys, too. I think I talk to everybody the same in uncomfortable situations. So it's not like I'm looking at a woman and being like, oh, you're below me, because I talk to a male the same way. You know what I mean? So I think that people do take that and try to twist it into something that it's not. But I think Claudia knows that I have the utmost respect for her as a person, as an individual. You know, I don't see women as below anybody. In fact, the people that I wanted to work with the most, aside from Zach, were women. I wanted to work with Kuzi. I wanted to work with Santina. I wanted to work with Claudia. I was trying my best to work with Renee, but we just couldn't get on the same page. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like I think women are actually better at the game than men. And in life, they have a lot more to bring than guys do sometimes. You know what I mean? So I don't see women as any less. And I think that a lot of the comments that are made are just they're just very personal. They're not so much factual. They're just trying to find anything to throw at Ty and make it stick. And it is what it is. Like I said, it doesn't bother me because the people who know me and who got to experience me in real life, they know who I am. And I think that the vote at the end of the day, when I was standing beside a woman, the fact that it was 8-1 should tell you enough about what people think of me as an individual. Because if I was really this misogynistic guy and this disrespectful man, why would they ever want to give me the vote?
Right.
You know what I mean? Why would they ever want to give me the vote? So it wasn't even like it was close. It was 8-1. And the only vote she got was Shania, and I knew that I would never get Shania's vote. Didn't matter how good her was. You know what I mean? So
you're not working
that's what I'm saying. She had to go at some point.
I do think that.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I do think that with shows like this, you know, with Big Brother, I will admit that I myself am a pretty emotional person. You know what I mean? Like I can be sensitive at times. So I think that when, as viewers, as people who have never played this game, have never been in that type of situation with that much pressure, you know, we can look at you and your interactions at times with Claudia and be like, oh, Ty wasn't so nice to Claudia there. But it's also
absolutely.
I think that for people like me and Gina and Kyle, we have to remember too that you were in a game where you're playing for a lot of money, and and for notoriety on social media and on TV and stuff like that. And it's in a way, it's when you can take a step back and really think about the game as a whole and everything that happened, it's it does make sense. You know what I mean? Because on one episode of Big Brother that I watched with you and Claudia, I was like, oh, I didn't think Ty was that nice that time. And it's no, but he's actually there trying to win a bunch of money for his family. And, it's
it's partly that. And like I said, to be fair, we discredit, people's opinion of me if it comes from a genuine place. I'm not saying that every interaction I've had with anybody, whether it's Claudia or anybody for that matter, was perfect. Of course, can I be nicer at times? Absolutely. But I do also think that, I do come from a very different background than most people. And what might not be disrespectful to me or might not be the nicest to me could be seen as the complete opposite to you guys. You know what I mean? So I think that also needs to be taken into account, where I don't come from a very, I don't want to say kind, but I don't sugarcoat a lot of the stuff I say. I'm not going to say it to you in the nicest way just to save your feelings for you. I'm just going to tell you what it is. Whether you like it or not, that's not me. I'm not going to make that decision for you. But again, I do see why people can say Ty could be an asshole, this, that, third. And that's very fair and it's valid. But at the same time, I'm not here to be somebody I'm not. I went into the game, and even through my process of getting onto the show, I said, listen, people are either going to love me or they're going to hate me. But I'm not here for the people I'm not playing a game for the people who are going to hate me. I'm playing for people who can connect with me and understand who I am, where I'm coming from. So even when I'm wearing my do-rags and stuff, it's because I'm not here to appease a certain demographic of people. I'm trying to talk to my people, the people that can see themselves in me, you know what I mean? Because you don't see much people like me who come from the circumstances I come from doing what I did on TV, you know what I mean? So, like I said, I get it. It's very fair for you guys to have an opinion. And like I said, by no means am I saying all my interactions with Claudia or anybody else were perfect. But I always come from a place where I mean well. And if I do fuck up and someone says, yo, I didn't like the way you said X, Y, and Z, or what you said, or what you did here is wrong, I am the first person to take accountability for whatever I did or said. So personally
though, I wouldn't even classify anything that you said or did on the show as a fuck up, because I think here's the thing: you have played and won Big Brother.
Yeah.
Gina and Kyle and I have never been on any one of these shows, so like I actually don't find any fault in the way that you played the game, to be honest, because you did what you needed to do to win the game, and you are a champion and a record holder in competitions and all that shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't find any fault in that. I think it just comes from people that are watching the show that have never played it before and are being like, oh, I don't really like that. I don't like what he said. I don't like what he did. But like, listen, at the end of the day, you have actually played this game, been in the house, and won. So I don't think you feel sorry for anything.
Yeah, I know. I'm definitely not sorry, but like I said, I always try to be as understanding. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always going to be like, well, what you're saying is invalid. You know, everyone has a different perspective, different experiences in life, and like what they see from me is going to be different. Like, you're going to have 10 people, and everyone will have very different opinions of the same person, being me, right? So that's completely fine with me. But I do think there's a bit of double standards even on that front. Like, you have someone like Kuzi, again, Kuzi, love her to death, my girl, my homegirl, Queen Kuz. But you have someone like Kurt in Zach's face saying, you're dirty rap, blah, blah. And she was held as, that's when she got the title Queen Kuzi, because of what she was saying and doing to Zach. But let me talk very cold to somebody. I don't call nobody names, but let me talk a little bit stern to somebody, and I'm an asshole for doing that. But if Kuzi goes off and is in Zach's face and calling him a dirty rat, she's a queen for that. So the double standard there is kind of unfair, you know what I mean? And I should go to show you, like, people have very different rules that they play by when judging people, and I don't think that's right.
That's true. And I think that it also should be noted that, you know, when I look over my week, you know, Sunday through Saturday, there are a lot of moments that I might have where I'm like overwhelmed, I'm a little stressed out, I'm speaking rather sharply, right? We didn't get to see everything of you. Even in 3 episodes of 1 week, we might only get 10 to 15 minutes of Thai conversation, and that's at tops. And it's like, if you compiled only 10 or 15 minutes or so of my interactions, I'm sure you could fill that with a bunch of bad ones. But that is like such a small amount of what I actually did that week. So that's not really fair. So I certainly think there's something to be said for that. But as far as your relationships with women, I think it's worth exploring the fact that you are a self-professed mama's boy, right? So like we're not really out in these streets actually disrespecting women, because I love the one that brought me into this world.
Exactly. That's my queen. That's what I was doing it for. And that was the first person I looked for when I stepped on that stage on finale night. So
yeah, we were looking for mom.
Oh yeah. And thank God thank God there was a live audience, by the way. Sorry, Kyle.
Yeah, man.
But no, like your love for your mother is obviously very clear, except for the fact that you basically snubbed her during that competition. I waited for her.
Hey,
like,
man,
we got stuff to accomplish. Sorry, Mom. I want to know, did you get any blowback for that?
I did. I see people, you know, commenting, oh, like, look how Ty treated his mom during that competition. I'm like, guys, if I spent
those people are going to say that.
I would have been home.
Exactly. No, those people are going to say that stuff. We're not talking about that.
I literally hugged my mom. I gave her a kiss. I said, Mom, I love you. I got to go. Like, if I don't win this, I'm going home. Everybody here wants me gone. So I'll talk to you later when I have $100,000 and we can talk about it later. You know what I mean? So
exactly. How did your mom feel after that? Because I feel like my mother would say she respected it. Then I would get home and she'd be like, I'm still your mother. And you didn't spend any time with me. Did she sass you at all? Like, how'd that go for you?
No. My mom is my biggest fan. Like, I don't think I can do any wrong in my mom's eyes. And like, I think that's what bugged me most. The things that people say to me don't bug me, but I know that, you know, obviously I think any parent seeing certain things being said about their child, whether it's their son or daughter, like that affects them a lot, right? So, you know, there apparently I heard a story that there was even something said on finale night that my mom overheard, and like when I heard that actually pissed me off, because I'm like, man, if I was there, you guys would have definitely seen another side of Ty, because I don't play about my mom. Like, if my mom feels disrespected, I'm gonna make sure I address that. So it's like,
Mama's homegirl. Mom's homegirl forever and always.
That's what I mean. Yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah, my mom never gives me a hard time about anything. I think she like I said, she feels like I can do no wrong, and that's why I try to do my best to act in a way that she would be proud of. Like I said, am I perfect? Nowhere near it. But I do my best to try to act in ways where I know that I'm doing the right thing. Whether or not it comes off a certain way, that's another thing. But I try to do best by people. I try not to screw people over. I try to be as respectful as possible. But yeah, it's just because like I want my mom to be proud of me. I don't want her to worry about anyone's opinion of me. I want her to know who I am and that she raised a half decent human being.
I love that.
I totally respect that too, because at the end of the day, this game that we're all watching and commenting on is a game, and you're trying to win because there's a big money prize, and that can help you and your family, your mom. So anything that you did in there or said in there that maybe I didn't like was for the greater good of you winning the game and doing better for your family. And that's exactly what you did. And you broke records along the way. I remember I was having an argument with on Twitter with somebody not long ago about how they should have taken you out earlier and all this, and I was like, well, they never had the chance because literally, I think it was Daniel C. Yeah, Daniel C. won a veto, and he could have left you on the block, but you convinced him, because that's the thing too. I don't think people give you enough credit for your strategy. Because you were obviously like you were a comp beast, but you had enough friends in there that saved you, and then they never had a chance to evict you ever again because you won everything.
Literally every competition.
Literally won everything.
So I think that was another thing where people were trying to say I didn't have a social game. Whatever, social game, I'm gonna be real with you. Like I'm super new to the game. Before I went through the casting process, I didn't watch the show. I binge watched 2 seasons just so I understood how the game worked. Like I knew what a veto was, I knew what a HOH was. But in terms of understanding really and truly like what makes a good player, I didn't know that. I just went in there and said, I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna ball out when it comes to comps if I need to. But in my eyes, just like living my everyday life, I kind of understand what it takes to hold a space in a social aspect. So it's like I knew I could go in there and make the right connections with people to keep myself safe enough until I had to start winning. Unfortunately, the situation with Zach happened, so I had to kind of pivot and start winning sooner than I wanted to. But yeah, when it comes to like my strategy, I knew the relationships that I needed to have, and I think that's what mattered the most. Daniel C was one of them. I knew that he was a great social player, and if I could be in his good books, if he won, I knew he would keep me safe. Even besides that, even if I was left on the block, I can promise you guys I was not going home. Dan S was like, his fate was sealed. It didn't matter if it was me or anybody else sitting beside him. Claudia, he was gonna go home. Yes, I was seen as a big threat, but nobody knew where they stood with Dan S, so they felt less safe with him than they felt with me. Kuzi knew that if I went home, she was probably gonna be the next person being looked at to go home. So it was in her best interest that I stayed there as long as possible as a shield for her. So I think people felt safer to keep me in the house than they felt keeping Dan S. But even then, I was like, man, like when I was trying to convince whoever the invisible POV holder was to keep me safe, I said, listen, if you're gonna throw Claudia up, just keep me on the block. Like I didn't want her to be at risk. And they don't show you that. It's like little things like that. You don't see the little gestures I made along the way to show you like I actually cared about a lot of people in that house, not just Claudia. And I get it. Like maybe you can't fit everything into an episode, but it just goes to show you that a lot of the stuff, a lot of different sides of me were left out, and you just saw the one side until they had no choice but to show you the other stuff because there was only 5 people left in the house, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. I'm so glad that you said that too, because that's kind of like what I was saying before with like you being portrayed as the villain, especially after Zach leaving. Like there was good stuff in there from you that we didn't get to see, and it was because you were just the designated villain, especially after Zach leaving. You know what I mean? Like there was a reason that Claudia, continued her showmance with you. There was a reason that Daniel C went against the crown to to continue to remain allies with you and work with you. Like there's a reason for all that. As the audience, we didn't get to see that, but
of course, that's what I'm saying. It's like I think you guys are analytical enough to kind of put 2 and 2 together. That okay, there's something more going on here that we're not seeing. But the general public is not going to see that. You know what I mean? They're just going to see what the show is showing them, and they're like, oh, well, Ty has to be an asshole because that's how the show is painting him out to be.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, you got to ask yourself, why Ty got 8 votes and Claudia got 1 if Ty was such a bad guy? You know what I mean? Those are the questions you got to ask yourself. And then even through the certain situations like Lettergate, why are they not showing Ty and Zach's DRs talking about a situation, but they're showing everybody else's? Why are they not showing Ty and Zach's conversations about the Lettergate, but they're showing everybody else's? Because they're trying to paint a certain narrative. And in order for them to push a certain agenda, they have to show you a story. And the story that's being built is with the rest of the house and not the villains that they're trying to paint out as villains. If you guys heard how we were talking about a situation, there's literally no way you can make us the villains. Because our intent with that whole situation was literally to just look out for Hope and make sure that he was good and that he wasn't going to get himself disqualified from the game. Yeah. And like I said, be the black mark season, you know, so.
And I will tell you also.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I will tell you also that, like, we keep in touch. You know, we've talked to Renee. We were lucky enough to talk to Renee, who is wonderful. Renee is awesome.
Top tier human being.
We talked to John Michael. We talked to Zach. And, like, it's funny because it's like, again, another point, like, the three of us, me, Gina, and Kyle, we do not know any of these people in the cast personally. You, Renee, John Michael, anything like that. But but you were portrayed as a villain in the cast. But if you were really such a villain, we wouldn't be seeing on Instagram that you're still hanging out with Renee and John Michael and Claudia. Like, if you were really such a bad guy, you wouldn't be hanging out with these people. But like, we still see them, you know, posting with you, hanging out with you. It's like, it's clearly not like you're like some terrible person. It's just that you were portrayed as the villain. You were on the other side of the house, and now the season's over, and now you're all friends again, and you're the champion and a record breaker in Big Brother history.
That's it. Yeah, I think that everyone just needs to kind of, when you're watching a TV show, understand it's a TV show. You know, the production has a job to do. That's to make an entertaining show. To make an entertaining show, you have to draw emotions out of people. You got to get people invested. So they're gonna do whatever they have to do to draw those emotions out of you. So you gotta only believe half of what you see, because most times it's either doctored or it just plainly it's just false. You know what I mean? So but yeah, no, I think I have great relationships with everybody. I have no reason to be upset at anyone because of the outcome of the show. But do I agree with everything that went on? No, but I can't change anything, and I just got to move forward. And I think, like I said, the relationships that I have now that we're outside of the house are great. And it's actually with people that I never thought that I would be as close to as I am. You know what I mean? But if I was, like you said, if I was as bad of a person as they try to make me seem, I wouldn't have those relationships with people. So that tells you a lot.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, too, I think, you know, this was a very unique Big Brother season, because normally we do have access to, you know, 24/7 live feeds where, like, yeah, there is an edit happening, but we can usually fill in the blanks of seeing, okay, well, let me get a little more context to this to see what was really going on. And I do think it kind of did a bit of a disservice to not having those feeds, that, like, we weren't able to get all the additional context. It really was just kind of, all right, well, what the edit gives us. And yeah, we had the little digital drops, but even that was still a bit doctored, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think, it did a disservice for the castmates or for certain cast members. They didn't do a disservice for everybody else, because if you guys saw everything, I mean, there would still be villains. It just wouldn't be me and Zach. You know what I mean? So it allowed production to really dictate the storyline that you guys had to believe, because you guys only had that perspective that they were giving you. If there was live feeds, like you said, you can fill in the blanks yourself and figure out, okay, what's really going on here? But ultimately, like, you guys didn't have that luxury, right? So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not mad about it. From my understanding, the live feeds were taken away to protect castmates, which is, again, fair, because there was certain things going on even in my season. I think that, like, if they got out from other castmates, you guys would have a very different perspective on certain people. Not here to throw anybody under the bus, so I won't say any names, but even that, I feel like, you know, production did the right thing. Like, keeping live feeds off, it allows us to just be ourselves without having to face the repercussions that we probably would have, because as I'm sure you guys know, and that I've learned, is that the Big Brother community can be pretty savage at some points. You know what I mean? They take something and blow that shit up. So there's certain people that have done and said certain things in the house that I feel like they would have got torn apart by the community if it was to have gotten out there on live feeds.
That's fair.
Yeah, the Big Brother social media community can be brutal.
It's a bit intense.
I really need to know. This is actually very important. This is like need to know. I asked John Michael. I asked Renee. I knew I had to ask you. I need to know so badly what our winner Ty thought of Anika's waffles.
And the waffle game.
Well, listen. I'm very happy I asked this because I honestly didn't have this Anika's waffle, so I can't answer.
Why didn't you have Anika's waffles? Because you already knew I was no good. Like,
nope. I was in. Hey, let me answer the question. I was in my listening to music. I wasn't worried about waffles. I was feeling good that day. Bop in my head.
I was already well fed. I had Wendy's breakfast. I didn't know about a Anika waffle.
Yeah, I had my sticks. I had the cinnamon sticks. I didn't have waffles that day.
Yeah.
Claudia actually came into the room and she told me about it. I said, "Oh shit, that's crazy."
Listen,
you know what I love, honestly?
Listen, Anika is a really good cook, though. I'm gonna give her that. Her and Dan really held down the house. Like when Dan got evicted, man, we were eating like frozen pizzas for like 4 or 5 days because nobody wanted to cook. So
Nika stepped up and she made these waffles and really pissed Santina right the hell off.
Got slammed.
Santina was pissed.
So, like, what did you think of Santina's response to the waffles? Acceptable? Like, what's going on?
No.
How she gets down? What's up?
I would never say whatever Santina did. That I would never have done that or said that. I think even Santina agreed, like we talked afterwards. I was just with her a couple weeks ago, actually, in Edmonton. But even she said that, like, I was pretty rude. So she admits that. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, everybody has their moments where they're like, I could have done that better. You know, and that was a moment that she felt like, I was a bit rude, so I could have done better in that situation, right? So,
yeah. The waffle thing was so super fun to me because, like, Santina, she kind of got ripped a little bit, like, when it happened, and she goes upstairs and goes to the bathroom, and she's telling Kuzi, she's like, "Oh my gosh, these people are so rude," and Kuzi was like, "Why, girl? Why? Tell me things." Right? She put her arm around and everything, and Santina's like, "Yeah, I told Anika that her waffles suck," and Kuzi was like, "Oh wait, that's what it was." Like, hold on, and you started to see her start moving away. She's like, "Wait, hold on, I don't want to be attached to this now."
Yeah, you don't want no problems with that. Yeah, because Anika and Kuzi were super close at that time too. So
right.
Kuzi had to,
and even if you weren't, I mean, like, come on, Santina, who's gonna agree, girl? Like,
she was a lone wolf at that point. Before she was the lone wolf at that point. So,
Oh man,
that was a very funny situation.
Damn, so you didn't have any of the waffles. You got nothing.
Not a single one, and I'm happy about it because then now I wouldn't have the opportunity to say that I'm not answering the question.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it sounds like they weren't good. But when we have asked other people,
Anika's a good. What did they say? What did Renee say? Because Renee was there. I saw the clip.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain Renee did not like the waffles, but she said she wasn't going to say anything now. Which is how you should handle it.
Right.
Yeah, I think he was just kind of like lukewarm on the waffles.
Right.
Well, I mean,
you know, like that meme where, like, when you don't want to tell somebody the plate was no good, and you had to the plate is like face down the garbage. Like, that's what the waffles just should have been. You can get some lunch and just have a nice big lunch.
I feel like for BB Can 12, the whole cast of BB Can 11 should have like an event.
A waffle off.
Yeah, like a brunch event where like the main course on the menu is Anika's waffles.
Gosh,
yeah, that would be a good little contest. I think that should be like a competition. Actually,
it should. Right? Make the best waffles. Blind
tie in the waffles. Yeah, that would be a good one. That would be a good one.
Stop.
Oh my god, so fun.
Let me ask you guys this: what was like the what was each of your favorite part of the show? Favorite moment?
Oh gosh.
Honestly, I think it was when for me personally, because I was already rooting for you to win, but when Anika randomly won that HOH after like 7 seconds or whatever it was, that competition, and somehow she chose to not put you on the block. I was like, all right, well, Ty already won the game. That's over. The whole game's over now. Nice. I think that was it for me. That was like the highlight for me, I think.
I think that's why she was also so mad at me. It was like, she just finished bashing Claudia for leaving me off the block. Yeah, and then the very next week,
she did the same thing.
I'm like, why are you?
That for me, that's the most memorable moment for me, I think.
I didn't understand why she was mad at me, though. I'm like, listen, man, I'm by myself here. You can trust me. Like, I'm not gunning for you, but I honestly don't care who goes home at this point. Like, either side, you guys can go home. I'm just trying to get the final two. And I
don't have a side.
I don't have a side. Both of you guys are my sides, and I had alliances on both sides. Again, social game that nobody wants to tip their hat to is fine. But yeah, if Claudia went home, I didn't want Claudia to go home because like I said, I wanted her final two. But if she did go home, that wouldn't change my game at all. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I don't know why. I watched a clip of like Anika sitting down at the round table saying Ty doesn't deserve to win. All he does is win comms. If all I do is win comms, how did I convince you to keep me off the block? I don't understand that. That doesn't really make sense to me. But it is what it is. It was just very upsetting to see that I saved her twice, and she had the audacity to sit down in front of our jury members and say Ty doesn't deserve to win. How unbelievable is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously.
It's all love. All right, Gino, what was yours?
See, it's so funny because like I feel like it should be a game moment that I'm referencing, but what comes to mind is one of my favorite, like what immediately came to my mind as one of the most memorable things of the season was the moment of Daniel C learning that the whole house was going to be on slop and running down the stairs in a panic.
We laughed the rest. Once we saw that clip during the prom night, we laughed for the rest of the time in the house. That was like the funniest moment ever. Like,
it was
being there in
so
person
good.
while it was happening, it wasn't that funny. But the way they edited it, I was like, yo, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, we'll watch it to this day and still laugh the same way. Like, you just saw it for the first time. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I had that clip on loop for like days.
He's hilarious.
I would just be standing just like washing dishes. Like, you know what? I could do 3 minutes of this. Hit play and just let it just keep going.
I promise you.
Oh gosh.
So good.
Kyle, how about you? What's going on? What was your favorite part of the season?
Oh my
gosh. You gotta know. People want to know.
That's such a hard that's a very, very hard question, you know, because there's so many different reasons why I like this game and why I like this show. From a game perspective, I like your arc a lot. Right, because like I'll be transparent and say like, no, like we were not the biggest Ty fans like in the beginning. And then once you started winning, though, I was like, you just cannot deny this man anymore. And like, and that's a really, really fun story to me to have that switch. It's like, well, listen, I wasn't on board before, but I am now because like, who else are you going to rally behind? Right.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, so there's that. Like that's interesting, but
dude,
honestly, like Kuzi gave us a really lot of great DRs. She gave us a lot of like really, really great sass. And actually, we have this clip in here.
I knew you were gonna do this.
Yeah, I play it all the time because it really is one of my favorite things that she said. Is one of my favorite things that she did. And like this is a standout for me.
Let's see it.
If she's the one that sends me to jury, I will do everything that I can just to make sure she will not touch 100,000 from Big Brother. Her name would never be remembered as a winner of Big Brother. I will make sure that she fails once again.
I remember sitting there. I was like, I thought the episode was over. Like I was getting ready to go up and go pee or something. And I was like, oh no, wait a minute. This is
not like done yet.
Top tier, and we are not done yet.
Kuzi's a legend.
Her name will never be remembered. When a Big Brother.
They have to bring Kuzi back because she is like, honestly, Zach was an amazing talker, and he's gonna hate me for this. We already got into an argument about this, but Kuzi's ability to talk and convince people, I've never seen, like even in the real world,
wild.
I've never seen somebody been able to like take somebody from like one end of the spectrum and completely flip them to seeing something that is not there. Like her ability to like make you believe something that's not real is crazy. So like even the fact that she almost convinced Renee to keep her in the house, like her when I put myself off the block during the winners week, and then Kuzi went up on when Renee was HOH, like it was basically done. Like Renee, you're going home. All right, not Renee, sorry, Kuzi, you're going home, right? And she almost convinced Renee to keep her. And the only reason why she didn't is because Renee's like, yo, I'm scared to keep you and Kuzi together. Because she knew that if me and Kuzi worked together, we would have destroyed these guys. But I'm like, the fact that she even had Renee sitting in the HOH, like, damn, like, maybe I should keep Kuzi. I was like, wow, like, you can really talk to people. Because there's no other way that Renee would have even considered keeping her. If anybody else was trying to talk on her behalf. I'm like, yo, Kuzi, your talking game is ridiculous, and she knows that. So, take my hat off to Kuzi. She's legendary. They need to bring her back for sure because she's crazy.
I would love to see her back again. I would love to see her back again. She's fun to listen to. I love her accent. I could listen to her speak all day. I just want her to read things to me. like here, just say it. Like I just want you to narrate my life.
She's hilarious.
Yeah, she's so much fun.
Now, I have another question for you.
Yeah,
I feel like we're starting to wrap up. We're getting close to the hour mark, but I do have another question for you that I'd like to ask. You are, so by being a Big Brother champion in North America, you are basically royalty. Are there any games? You're king. You're King Tai. Are there any other games in the reality TV world that you would like to play? I know The Traders was a big one that came out in the US, Australia, the UK. I think Canada wants to do their own season of The Traders, which
what is that?
I feel like it's right up Big Brother's alley. Like it's like all about strategy and like there are some competitions, but it's all about like playing strategy. But even like Survivor or something like that, like would you be down to play another, or The Mole or something like that? Would you be down to play another reality TV game show?
I would 1000% be open to playing. I don't know any of these shows. Like I said before, even Big Brother, I had no idea about this show, like what it really was. My ex-girlfriend used to watch it. She was like a super fan. I can't say something. Anyways, she was a super fan. So I knew about Big Brother Canada, but I didn't know what the show entailed until I started getting casted for it. And I'm like, man, maybe I should watch the show so I at least understand what it's about.
Okay.
But I had so much fun on the show, and I feel like even if I was evicted and I didn't win, like the experience was crazy. I was like, I look back and I miss certain moments, and I'm like, bro, like I'll never get to experience that again. And like I really actually want to go through that again. So people were telling me I should try for the challenge. I guess that's like a more physical.
Love the challenge. We love the challenge.
John did not mention that. It's Traders. And he's all this Survivor. Like, I don't understand why you would not be on the challenge. Like,
of all people,
that is where you should be. Like,
literally, of all people, you have to be on the challenge.
So yeah, I'm definitely gonna try if I can. I'm gonna try for the challenge. Somebody else also, Daniel C actually mentioned The Mole to me. He said that's something that you would be good at as well. So I'm gonna look into that. I'm open to anything. You just will not see me on any of these dating ones. I promise. You won't see me on the Love Island. You won't see me on a Too Hot to Handle.
We don't like that.
To me, those shows are corny.
Likes that crap.
I know. I'm not into that stuff. To me, it's corny. But
to
each their own. But yeah, anything competition based, I'm there. Like if there's like strategy or competition, I am there for it. So you might see me on another show.
We prefer that. We'd rather see you on one of those. Yeah.
You are made for the challenge.
Absolutely. That is where we need to tie. Absolutely.
You were such,
hands down.
Honestly, with how much of like a physical threat, like a comp beast you were, I can only imagine how well you would do on the challenge.
I appreciate it. So hopefully the next time we talk, it's because I won the challenge and we can talk about how I won that too.
Hell yeah.
No, but it actually could happen. Like that's not far-fetched. That's not like being silly. No, the challenge is really something I would love to see you compete in that. Because it's just so competition based. Like there is like a social element to it, but like it truly is secondary to the competitions where Big Brother is more social and comp second. It really would suit you great.
Amazing. I'm gonna look into it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Yeah, we would absolutely love more tie time. So
yeah, we're ready.
I like to hear it. I'm glad that caught on.
It did catch on.
Hey, ball game.
That's what we're talking about. That's what we do over here. Ball game, baby.
Every post we put out about this, we made sure that we put ball game out there.
You
sell hats. You sell hats too, right? With
hats,
ball game on there.
T-shirts, yeah. I might come up with some more
T-shirts, yeah.
Some hoodies or sweat jumpsuits in the fall time, but yeah, T-shirts and hats for now.
Yeah, the only problem with the T-shirts, and I suspect probably the hoodies, is that they're not fat friendly. We're looking for 5Xs. I need a little bit more space.
I could take custom orders, man. That's nothing.
All right, we can do a custom. Yeah, I'm shaped like a ball. All right, so I need some help.
Oh my god.
He's exaggerating.
But no, I'm down.
Hold on, someone. Get in the chat here this whole time.
Oh, so I'm so into the conversation. Yeah, people are saying things. Oh, Alana.
Yeah.
Alana wants to see you on The Amazing Race.
Yes,
that absolutely, that is totally too. Yeah, I would love to see that.
On The Amazing Race.
Have you?
I want to see you play with your mom. Would mom ever be on a reality show?
That would be a lot of fun.
It's such a duos. It's a duos show. It's so much about the relationships too, about the people that are racing.
Ty and mom on Amazing Race would be
Mama
so much fun to watch. Oh my god!
I think it would also be cool for me and my dad. My dad's military too, so I think that would be a cool dynamic to have. So yeah, that might be. Listen, I'm gonna look into it. Amazing Race is definitely up.
All plans be very well executed. Yes, there's a plan. If you fail to plan, what?
You plan to fail.
Plan to fail.
Hey. Right.
Exactly. Hold on, why are you throwing comps to give a guy a fake win? His ego that bruised. Listen, I feel like in the house, I don't know if Brett's still here, but nonetheless, I think that, we're looking out for him because you build relationships with people very quickly, right? So, me and Hope, I was like, I look at this kid like my little brother. And I wanted to make sure that if he genuinely did not want to be there and he was in a self-evict or whatever, that he went home feeling like he did something. Like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We're never going to get to do that again. The majority of us at least. So I didn't want him to go home feeling like, man, I just threw that opportunity away and did nothing and got nothing out of it.
Yeah.
I wanted him to go home and be like, I won a competition on Big Brother Canda. Cool. You know what I mean? Like, at least you had something to leave with, plus the $5,000 that was associated with it, right? So that was why we threw the comp. It wasn't a matter of, egos or anything and like him having a bruised ego or, doing it for my own self-gain. There was no gain. Like, for me, I was handing my power over to him. There was no gain in it for me. In fact, I was risking my game to let him have his moment. You know what I mean? So yeah, it had nothing to do with with egos on either side.
Well, because that was Hope's game for a while too, right? Like he wanted to get sympathy. I think. Yeah. He wanted to use that, emotion and all that as sympathy to get him further in the game. So,
and like I said, that's completely fair. That's part of the game. The only part that me and Zach don't agree with is just the fact that he gained that sympathy from us, leveraging the letter. If he was able to convince me to hand him the game strictly from gameplay and not using something from the outside world, that's a different thing. You know what I mean? Like I have to hold that L for myself and I have to hold myself accountable. But the fact that he was leveraging something that we weren't allowed to have in there, that's where, we had to question the integrity of the game at that point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I definitely understand that. I definitely can feel that. Yeah.
And then the same guy said, I don't want to hold you guys any longer. Johnny hated Hope. Wasn't that guy? Absolutely. So Johnny, if I'm just being real with you, Johnny did not like Hope. This was very early.
We got a hint of that when we spoke to Renee.
Yeah. Listen, man. Hope rubbed a lot of people the wrong way early on. And that's why me and Zach really took it personal when he turned on us, because we're like, bro, we're the only guys in this house really looking out for you and really like wanting to see you stay in this house, because everybody, you're rubbing everybody the wrong way. I can't talk about certain things because it's production based, and like there's certain situations where I think like, yo, this is like to really paint a picture of how people felt about Hope. But there were certain situations where me and Zach were the only people really keeping him in the game on a literally. So for him to do what he did, we were kind of like, man, that's a really dirty way to play this game. So that's why we took it so personal. But yeah, Johnny, and I'm actually I don't like to toot my own horn at times, but like I need to take credit for the fact that Johnny and Hope had the relationship that he did, because I pulled Hope into the room with Johnny. I said, you guys talk it out right now and fix this shit. And from that point on, that's when Johnny called Hope his little brother after that conversation. So that was because of me, and nobody can tell me otherwise. That's the one thing I'll say.
And that's, I'm so glad to hear something like that, because this is exactly what Kyle and I were talking about. Like, you were portrayed as the villain all season.
Yeah.
Right? And like, one of the nicest things we got out of the season was how, like, close Johnny and Hope were at the end. And so to hear from you now.
Yeah, because of me. And
a person who was supposed to be the villain.
Call with Johnny and Hope on here, and I'll tell them shit to their face. They know that the only reason why they had that relationship was because of me. Because Johnny was threatening to leave the house because he didn't like Hope so much. And I said, Hope or Johnny, just give Hope a chance. Just talk to him on a one-to-one level. You'll understand. You'll like him. Trust me. Put him in a room, and after that point, like this, they wouldn't separate from each other because of me.
That's what's so funny.
If I'm gonna take credit for anything, is that situation because of me.
And that's what's so funny is that like you are, and that these are the things that I feel like we missed a lot by not having live feeds and stuff like that. Is that like you were had a positive influence on people in the house, and were able to help friendships form, and yet all we got as viewers,
like the real side of things.
Yeah, exactly. Because all we got as viewers was you being the bad guy, but you helped facilitate other relationships in there that we didn't get to see.
That's it. Yeah, and I don't care to take credit for it, like that one specific situation, strictly because of the impact it had on somebody else, who I actually cared about a lot, which is Zach. So I'll be like, yo, the only reason why that situation, like Hope and Johnny were that close, and like Hope was able to do X, Y, and Z was because I kept him afloat in that game. I'll make that known because of, like I said, how it impacted Zach. But there's so much other things that I did in that house that I'll never speak on because I don't care to be like, well, I did X, Y, and Z. Listen, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I went in there with pure intentions, and like I said, I had my hero's arc at the end when I started lying to people, when I started playing what I consider a slimy game. To me, that's backwards, but I guess to the BB world, that's what they want to see, and I get it. Like, you want to see an entertaining show, but to me, in the real world, I'm as real as they come, and I'll tell you that straight to your face. If you don't like what I'm saying, that's on you, bro. I'm just gonna tell you what it is, though. I really don't care how you feel about it. So if that's what makes me a bad guy, then so be it. Exactly. My bad, guys. My laptop's on 1%, so if I cut out, that's why. But
okay.
You guys know where I stand. Yeah.
Well, we've been talking for over an hour anyway. So let's say goodbye.
Let you get back to your festivities.
Yeah, you're at a bachelor party.
Things going on.
Yeah. Let's say goodbye.
I appreciate you guys so much for having me, man.
Dan, thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it. I'm gonna play a little outro video. Don't sign off yet, just so we can say goodbye. Hopefully your laptop doesn't die. But I'll play this now, and then we'll say goodbye, and then that's it. Thank you everybody for watching us at Strat Chat Pod. Check us out on the socials. Check out the link tree. Check out Ty McDonald. Ty, the winner of BB Can 11.
Hey.
Legend, record breaker, has won tons of POVs. Yeah. Good night. Thank you for hanging out with us.